Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Malcolm Maestrel and I'm a membership services coordinator with IAAP. Thank you for joining us for the launch of the 2023 Accessibility Testing Considerations mini-series. We're excited to begin the mini-series with today's webinar, A11y Diaries, Evolution of Visible Focus. But before we begin, we have a few general housekeeping items to go over. Closed captioning is provided. To enable closed captioning, select the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. The stream text links for English, French, German, Spanish, and Swedish will be posted in the chat as well. And American Sign Language interpretation is also provided. Microphones are muted to prevent any background noise or disruptions, and we ask that all attendees please post your questions in the Q&A. Questions will be saved until the end of the presentation, and the chat will be monitored for general dialogue and technical issues. Today's webinar will be recorded and available in our webinar archives, and we'll send out a copy of the recording and presentation to everyone who registered. And now I would like to turn today's program over to our presenter, Fahad Lambate.
Thanks, Malcolm. Hi, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening to whichever part of the world you have joined from. So I'll just share my screen quickly over here. Okay, I hope it's up.
Yep.
So
it's up in full screen and looks great.
Okay, thanks, Malcolm. Okay, firstly, I believe Malcolm has already welcomed you all to IAAP Accessibility mini-series. Today's topic, it will be on A11y Diaries, Evolution of Visible Focus. And before we move ahead and delve into the topic further, I'll just quickly brief talk about myself and my organization so that you have context about who I am and what our organization is about. So I'm Fahad Lambate and have been working with Barrier Break since 7+ years now. I started here as a document remediator wherein I wasn't aware, to be honest, of what accessibility is. So whatever I have started to know about accessibility more, and I got passionate about it is because of Barrier Break, I can say. And currently I'm designated here as an Associate Accessibility Director. And I'm also an IAAP CPWA certified professional. Coming to my organization, so we have been in this space since more than 19 years now, and we have been leading the offshore conversation about accessibility in the market. We do cater to 14+ countries across the globe to service different technologies like fintech, edtech, be it retail and other technologies as well. When it comes to the culture, we believe in being inclusive, wherein we follow people first approach. So to ensure that people with disabilities are part of our solutions and process. We are based off Mumbai and we work on remote working model. So yeah, so that was something about my organization. Moving on to the session objectives, I'll just quickly read out the objectives. So we'll first have a brief look on what accessibility is, then what keyboard accessibility is, and how visible focus play a role in keyboard accessibility, and different browser default focus styles that are available for some well-known browsers. We'll have a look at what are the requirements as per WCAG 2.2 and 2.1, specifically for the visible focus indicators. Some common issues for around this, and then custom focus styling also with some examples we'll have a look. So apart from that, we'll then move on to the new properties that has been introduced a couple of years back, which is focus visible. We'll have a short I'll talk a brief about on that as well. Post that, some pros and cons about custom focus styling. The WCAG 2.2 requirements that has been recently introduced on the 5th of October, the benefits it gives to certain people with disabilities, which groups at large. And at end, I'll open the floor for Q&A. Okay. So firstly, when it comes to accessibility, it's basically allowing people to do things to access things, products or services in any way they want, using any tool they want, or any services they want for that matter, and using the way they need. Okay, so it's basically to provide an equitable experience across the things, products, and services that are there. When it comes to keyboard accessibility, it basically is to allow users to navigate and access the websites or applications while using a keyboard alone. So this is not only true for people with disabilities, it is also true for in certain cases when there is a situational disabilities. Like if someone has met with an accident and he or she might not be able to completely use a mouse, okay, and in that case they might have to use a keyboard, they might have to use a switch access device. So even in certain cases, keyboard accessibility helps. Even for power users, like sighted users like me, it helps, because when I'm trying to navigate through the web page or application, and if I want to speed up my process, I might even use certain keyboard shortcuts to perform those tasks then. Let's have a look at how visible focus plays a part in keyboard accessibility. So firstly, when we talk about visible focus, it helps users to indicate their current location on the web page. So here I have a small screenshot of a barrier break block website, wherein there are navigation links present in the header section. Out of that, one link is about us, which is an expanded state. And it is the second link, which is work with barrier break, is in focus state. So over here, there is a outline which is available in a black color, which is a black color outline. This is the default browser outline that is currently available. So this helps users to know, okay, while they are navigating through the web page, where their current location is. It helps to highlight the currently focused element so they can activate it, interact with it. Definitely, it helps people with disabilities. And as I said, it's not just about people with disabilities. It's about in different situations as well, as even it benefits power users as well. The major groups that are benefited through visible focus, if done right, is someone with a low vision, people with cognitive impairments, elderly people, people with keyboard alone who will just use only keyboard for interacting with the web page or the application, people with motor impairments as well. Coming to the browser default focus styles that we have currently. So these are some examples of popular browsers. We'll have a look at it. So first is the Chrome browser. Currently, there is a contact us link, which is there. It has a black color outline, which is the default focus indicator in case of Chrome browser. It is a 5px auto WebKit focus color link. So based on the color that is there on the browser, it basically replicates it on the page and displays the visual focus. Coming to the next browser, which is Firefox. So it also has currently the snapshot of manage accessibility link, which is an expanded state. Over there, there is an offshore accessibility team link, which is currently highlighted with a blue color solid blue outline. So the default, I'll say CSS property overused is outline of 2px solid #007bff. So this is the blue color outline that is used on Firefox. Coming to the Edge browser, it is since Edge is now shifted to a Chromium-based browser, so it will be similar to how it is in a Chrome browser. The same kind of outline is now used in Edge as well when it comes to default focus indicator. When it comes to Safari, it is somewhat similar to Firefox, I'll say. If I go back, uh, the current Firefox default focus indicator is a bit on the darker side of the blue, whereas if we see in Safari, the accessibility audit link is in focus state. It is having a little lightish blue color on that particular link. So the outline is again a 2px solid, and uh, as if I see the hex code currently, it's a bit different. So currently it's #0078FF. Over there it was BFF. So that's the major difference when it comes to default focus style. Now you must be wondering, okay, when it comes to default focus style, they might be boring, but I'll say they are not boring because they're simple and subtle, and they get the job done. When we will see also the custom focus styling, when we see that, because there are various way to style your focus indicator in custom way, which will be required in certain scenarios, definitely. Like if any particular web page which is designed and the background is similar to what the default focus color is. So in certain situations, it might be needed. You have to change the focus color in such scenarios. So over there, you might have to use custom focus indicators. But we'll also have a look like when in designing certain custom focus indicator or changing the focus indicator, what are the key requirements that has to be looked for. So let's have a look at that. So first is with regards to WCAG 2.2 and 2.1. So this is something which is available since quite a long time. With the first success criteria is 247, which is focus visible. What this particular success criteria is says is like the focus visibility which is present on specific elements, be it link, be it button, any kind of interactive elements, it needs to be clearly visible. There should be a focus indicator present, and it should be clearly visible. So these are the two major requirements in this particular criteria. The other criteria which specifically is related to the focus indicator is 1411, which is non-text contrast. This had got added in WCAG 2.1, wherein the focus indicator needs to meet the minimum contrast requirement of 3:1. So this requirement is to be met with the adjacent color of the focus indicator. Let's have a look at the common issues that we find across the web around these two success criteria. So first one is focus, which is not clearly visible. So for this, there is a snapshot of about barrier break page itself, a demo page for this, wherein there is an accessible documents link, which is currently focused. If we see this particular visible focus indicator that is available, it's quite difficult to see like where our focus is currently. So this might be a failure. This will go as a failure under 247, and it will cause a problem for someone who is using a keyboard alone, or when they are trying to navigate the web page using only keyboard. So why this happens? So let's have a look at that. Because the outline color will not be distinct enough. So in this case, if I had to say, the background color used over here is dark gray color, I'll say, or blackish on the blackish side, whereas the focus indicator is also on the side of a reddish color, reddish black color. So both the colors that are used over here is quite dark, which makes it difficult to perceive it. And then someone with disability also will not be able to perceive this focus indicator, and then it will lead to challenges. Second reason would be the outline size might not be distinct enough. So in this particular snapshot example, which I took, is having like a dotted focus indicator. So again, if this particular focus indicator was a solid, thick outline with a different color, like complementing the black color, or like no, and a light color focus indicator, it would pass the requirement. The color change, if any, used on the particular link, it might not be distinct enough. And this will definitely lead to failure of 1411 as well, because when such focus indicators are used, which is not clearly visible, it is most likely to also fail the 1411 requirement. Focus not visible. So when it comes to this particular issue, it's as crystal clear as I had to say. It's just basically the focus indicator will not be present on any of the any particular interactive element. So the reason behind this could be the major one, which at least I have observed in my auditing phase, would be the outline would be set to none or zero. The custom focus indicator would be used, but the default would have been set to none or zero, which might also interfere with the custom focus indicator that has been provided, which makes the focus indicator disappears altogether itself. Using the same color as the adjacent color. So sometimes it might happen on the site, there would be a white color background or light background used, and the focus indicator color also will be of same color. The outline might be hidden due to any other particular element. So this is when, especially in case of image links, wherein the image links would be it would be a big picture that will be used, wherein it would be basically a link. But since the focus indicator wouldn't be managed through CSS in an appropriate way, the focus, whatever the indicator is coming, it will hide behind that particular image. So this is also one of the reason you might see when it comes to focus, which is not visible on any particular interactive element. Another common issue is with regards to color contrast fading or not meeting the 3:1 requirement as per 1411 criteria. So for this one, I've used an example of, again, an image link over here, wherein there is a dark color background, which is used a black color. And even the focus indicator is on the darker side, black color. Over here, if we see the color contrast of this focus indicator that is there, the outline, and the adjacent color, which is black, so it is failing, it is coming to 1.2:1. So this will fail the requirement of 1411, and it will be not only a failure, but it will also cause challenge to any low vision user, someone who is unable to perceive the color as well, and even elderly people, because even they won't be able to see such kind of focus indicator clearly. To be honest, if such focus indicator is there on the page, even I won't be able to see, because it's that bad. So using the colors that are bad contrast is the major reason why such failure occurs. So picking the colors the right way, like using a dark color on a light background, or a light color on dark background, or vice versa, I'll say. So in such case, the color should be picked very carefully. Relying on custom focus indicator over the default style, wherein the default style would get the job done. But definitely this is something, it comes in certain scenarios wherein you will require custom styling over the default focus style. So let's have a look at what custom focus styling is, or basically where it could be used. And we'll also have certain examples of it. I will go through that as well. So when it comes to custom focus styling, it can be given to native control, no doubt about it, because in CSS, you can set the focus or change the focus in any specific way you want by using the certain properties. which we'll have a look at in the later part. So when it comes to custom components, especially like like whenever you are creating a custom component using div or span, or it could be also any composite widget that are being used on your web pages, like editable combo boxes, or maybe uh, even for that matter, like tabs that are used, tabbed interfaces. In such cases, also most of the time we have been seeing, like, instead of using native control for designing this kind of elements, there would always be certain custom elements like div or span neutral containers used with tab index, the required rule state properties. And then, so in such cases, focus indicator must be added for such custom components to make it more clearer and more better to meet the requirements. When it comes to focus indicator or the focus styling, remember, like tab index 0 will just make them focusable. It will not necessarily provide an outline for your custom components by default. So that's why you might have to add a custom focus indicator in such scenarios through CSS. So let's have a look at certain custom focus styling properties that are available. The most important one is obviously the focus pseudo class that is there, in which we can use variety of properties to design the focus indicator. So in the first example, we are using an outline property over here with 2px solid blue. So there is a 247 accessible document image link. So this is how a blue color outline will be shown over here, which is the size is 2px, and you can say it's currently distinctly visible because the background is of white color. Another way is using box shadow. So here I've given the like values as 005 0, 0 and 5 pixel and 2 pixel blue. So we can see the box shadow that is coming for this particular focus indicator. And again, in this case, it is clearly visible because the background is quite light. And you can see there is a box shadow that is coming along with an, like, that blue color. So it's quite evidently visible in this case. But this is not necessarily the case in actual scenario, to be honest, because every time the color is something which will be messed up, and then there will be problems with regards to meeting the requirements as per WCAG. The next one is using a border of 2px solid blue. So it is similar to outline, I will say, but obviously this border will be a square box compared to outline, which will have a little bit of round edges to it. But nonetheless, it will look kind of similar, in reality. Coming to the next one, I will exit presentation view for this because otherwise it will keep on, it's a GIF which I have used, otherwise it will keep on playing and it will cause problems then. Okay, so this is where a transform property comes into picture, wherein if I put a scale of 1.05, so I'll just play that GIF so it is visible how it will appear. So you can see it is a bit transforming, or basically it gets zoomed in a bit or zoomed out in a bit when it receives a keyboard focus. But there is also an outline which is coming. Why this is coming? Because obviously I have not hidden the default focus indicator that is there. I have not set the outline to 0 or outline to none. That's the reason the outline is also coming. But there is also a transform effect over here, which is coming. The next one is opacity. So here the term itself says the opacity, it will make your element a bit, it will provide opacity to your element. I have kept it to 0.8 currently over here. So let's see how it looks. So currently, if we see here again, here there is a black color outline which is visible, but your image link over in this case a bit becomes slightly the opacity increases as soon as it receives keyboard focus. So this is also one of the way a custom focus styling can be applied. The next one is using a background image. So in this case, you can use any particular background image to provide in the background of that particular element. So as soon as it receives keyboard focus, it will show that particular background. So the code here would be background-image property, and you can use a URL and set the particular URL path over here wherein that particular image will be stored, which you will use for the background as a background. Let's have a look at a few more on this. So when it comes to the custom focus styling, there are other methods as well in pseudo focus class, which is clip path method. So over here, I'll just play it quickly. So as you can see over here, the clip path which I have set to is a polygon shape, wherein the percentages I have given as 0% and 0%, 100%, 0%, and then 100%, 90%, 50%, 100%, 0%, and 90%. So in this case, in this particular example, it clips the the bottom part of that particular link, and it is getting into a polygon shape. So this is also one way you can indicate your focus to show, okay, your focus has been shifted to a different interactive element via using this particular property. The next is using a SVG custom focus. So over here also, we'll use a background image property, but in the URL, we'll be giving the path of the SVG image and also the size and how you want that SVG image to look like. So currently I've made it appear to look like a small circles that are there. And I'll just play this GIF as well, so we can see how it looks like. So there are two links over here, scheduler demo and login link. So as you can see, if I'm on scheduler demo or if I go to login link, the background image changes and that SVG effect appears over here. Again, I have not set outline to 0 or none. If I do that, the outline which is coming over here, it will disappear and only the SVG will be visible in this case. So some of the additional ways that can be used over here would be even the JavaScript event listeners by removing or adding certain class on focus or on blur events as well. So when it comes to canvas, like dealing with canvas elements, okay. So in such scenarios, JavaScript plays an important role if you have to provide a focus indicator. Because when it comes to interactive canvases, so certain specific location on the canvas, you have to make it interactive. So as soon as that particular location receives a keyboard focus, the on focus and on focus event handler kicks in, and it will add certain classes to it, and it will show a particular outline. Similarly, as soon as you move away from that particular element in that canvas, interactive canvas, due to the blur event, it will remove the CSS and the outline will disappear from there. There are certain CSS JS libraries also which you can use, which will help to, which will be basically a part of the component itself, the component style. And if you use the same component across different web pages of the website, it will automatically be in effect as we are using the same JS library to provide us CSS, the classes and everything in that. There are certain CSS framework also which are available, like Bootstrap or Materialize framework is available, which can be used, I'll say, or predefining a specific class for focus styling in this framework. So you can basically define based on the elements, like if it's a link or if it's an anchor, what is the kind of focus you want to display. If it's a button, what is the focus style you want to display. If it's a drop down, how you want to display for that select element. So even that is possible. Oh yeah. There are certain other outline properties, the other properties I'll say, not the outline just. There are other properties also available, which you can use in order to provide a focus indicator, which is the outline offset. So this outline offset is beneficial, especially it helps to create a gap in the the element and the focus indicator. A small gap is created, whatever the offset outline offset you will set to. So it will create a gap between those element and the focus indicator. So it is really helpful to make the focus indicator more distinct and more visible, so that it is not getting cluttered up with the element itself. Another way is obviously providing a text decoration. So this, I believe, most of the developer does when it comes to, as soon as the link receives keyboard focus, there would be an underline given to it, or it might become bold. So these kinds of properties can be used as well. The background properties, wherein you can change the color of the link. So if it's just a plain white color link or a black color link, as soon as it's focused, the background color changes and the link color also changes. So such kind of color change can be also done in order to make your custom focus more, to create the custom focus basically. Now coming to different class that can be used is focus within or focus visible can be also used. We'll talk more about focus visible as well. So in case of focus within, basically it's beneficial when there are a group of components that are available on a web application, say. Okay. So in such cases, if you want users' attention to be there on that particular specific section, so you can use focus within class where you can specify a color for that particular container. So as soon as that any element in that container receives keyboard focus, the background color will change due to the outline, the focus within class which has been set. Focus visible, as I said, we'll come to that later on because that's a newly introduced one a couple of years back. In case of focus ring, this is something which is mostly a WebKit focus class, wherein the focus ring will be based on your user agent, the browser which has been defined. So let's now have a look at the new property, which is focus visible, and when it was introduced and how it can be applied. So this focus visible class was actually introduced around September 2021, which is almost a couple of years back now. This is applied when the element matches with the focus pseudo class, and the user agent determines that the focus must be made evident on the basis of as the element matches this particular focus pseudo class. So it ignores the pointing devices like mouse, or it will be visible only when an element receives keyboard focus. To get this understanding, I've again used an example over here. So the example code is there is a button with focus visible class, and it has an outline 2px solid green, and the border radius used here is 3px. Okay, so there is a button 2 which is used over here. I know not a good name for the button. There would be labeling issues for sure over here. But I will say when it comes to using this particular property, the first image over used here is it's on keyboard focus, a green color border will be visible. But when you click on that particular button, that particular border gets disappeared. Okay, but this is not the case when you're only using focus pseudo class and not a focus visible class. So if you use a focus visible focus pseudo class just with outline and border radius and all, So even when you click it or any mouse pointer is there, the outline would get visible over there. But in this case, only when keyboard focus is there on that particular element, it will the respective outline or any kind of styling that has been given to that interactive element, it will only then be visible. Certain pros and cons we'll have a look at when it comes to focus styling. When it comes to focus styling, obviously the major pros here would be that it can be personalized. You can personalize as per your need, because I know this is a modern web era wherein everyone wants their website fancy. They want the website to be visually appealing. So and accessibility is not something that makes it boring. It obviously you can use custom focus styles, but it has to meet certain requirements, which we have discussed in WCAG 2.1 2.1. When you're using a custom focus style, it can be more visually appealing to enhance the user attention, definitely, and it also enhances user experience. So I have also personally in my surfing, if I had to say, when I surf across the web, I do come across certain websites which are quite visually appealing, but at the same time, they also have a great focus indicators used on the web page that really bit kind of look cool, if I had to put across that way, and very funky. So it just makes user more engaged to such kind of a websites. Custom focus style also helps to match with your brand colors. So if you are using any specific colors in your brand, so you can make as per that, to customize your focus as per that as well. When it comes to certain complex UI components, like grid structures are there, or be it tabbed interfaces, or it would be editable combo boxes. So in certain complex UI components, even the calendar component for that matter, in such UI components, it helps to enhance the focus indicator, wherein the default focus indicator might not necessarily work. Certain cons that we might come across while using custom focus styling would be, it might be inconsistent across different platforms. So it's always good to test out across different platforms, like how it is giving the output for that focus indicator. So it might be visible in a Chrome browser, but it might not be visible in a Firefox browser. It could also override obviously user preferences. So in certain website or application, there would be an option given to change the focus indicator, or user might be using certain add-ons to change the focus indicator or forcefully use a specific color on the website. So in such cases, that could the custom focus could override such kind of user preferences that has been used. It could also lead to complexity, because as I said, when you're using custom focus, it has to meet certain requirements as well. Like it has to pass color contrast. It should be perceivable easily. The focus should be clearly visible. It definitely deviates from the default focus indicator, but I just wanted to add a disclaimer over here. If you are using a default focus indicator, though the WCAG would say, like, since it's a user agent wherein the author, in this case developer, would not have made any focus changes, or the color changes or anything like that. But if you see your focus is not that visible or that evident on a particular interactive elements, so I would say definitely have a look at that, so it can be customized. So it could be easily visible for user. And don't just be under an impression like, okay, I'm using a default focus indicator, so now I am safe over here and I can just pass that particular requirement. The robustness, as I said, it could be inconsistent across different platforms, different browsers. So the robustness might not be so great, but obviously if done in the right way, it definitely would enhance the user experience. There could be challenges in maintaining such custom focus styling if your product evolves. Obviously, as the new build comes up, any new features get added. So in such cases, sometimes the CSS might break. So in that particular scenarios, you might have to go and revisit your focus styling and ensure that it is not breaking as your product is evolving. So now let's have a look at quickly at the VCAC 2.2 requirements over here. So this VCAC 2.2 requirement was released on 5th of October 2023. So it will be a couple of weeks back. So in total, if I had to say, it's based on more on the operable principle and also there would be perceivable as well, which will come into picture over here. But majorly when it comes to focus visibility, it falls under operable principle. Okay. Total, there are around 6 success criteria that have been added under this. So in 2.4, there are 3, which is focus not obscure, at a minimum AA, 2412, focus not obscured enhanced AAA, 2413, focus appearance again at AAA. So 1 at AA and 2 at AAA. So let's have a look at 2411 focus not obscured minimum criteria which is there. So what this success criteria says is about the component should be at least partially visible when focused. The focus, which is the component which is receiving focus, it should be at least partially visible. The obscuring content, if it is semi-transparent, like for example, sometimes there are side navigation menus or something along those lines, which would be a kind of a semi-transparent and it would fall over the background content. So in such cases, you will have to check for non-text contrast requirement. Okay. So one quick example, if I had to give, because this is something which is largely available across many websites nowadays, which is cookie consent non-modal dialog. So when such cookie consent non-modal dialog is used, the focus components that are there behind this particular non-modal dialogs get hidden. So if it's partially visible, at least the focus, then it is fine. But if it's not at all visible, then it will be a fail, definitely, of 2411. There are certain exceptions also to this, which is like when the content is obscured due to a user agent behavior. Like, for example, if you are browsing over the web and suddenly a pop-up appears, okay, or maybe certain update comes in suddenly, especially those antivirus updates, it keeps popping out of nowhere while you're surfing over the web. So those kinds of user agent behavior that are there, if it comes and due to that the focus is not visible even partially, in such cases the user then it becomes an exception, I would say. User open content. So this is something which is related to menus or expand collapse components. So when there is a menu which is expanding or collapsing based on user interaction, then that is something definitely a user behavior, like user has deliberately opened that particular content. But one thing to keep in mind is if user has opened that particular content, it should be able to close by an escape key. So user don't have to navigate to a particular control to close it and then view the content behind it. So the focus should be in this manner. User movable content. consider only the initial position. So in this case, when there are certain web applications which we go through, so there would be certain dialogues most of the time which appears on a page, and then you can basically move it from one location to another as well, if you want to, like if for ease of access, if I had to put it that way. So in such cases, only the initial position, that is, as soon as the dialog appears, only that particular thing has to be considered over here, and not any other position when user is making those changes. From a code point of view, if I had to suggest, like, don't use overlapping on obscuring content, even in case of cookie consent non-modal dialog, rather to make it a modal dialog, so that the background content obviously will not be reachable and only the content within the dialog will be reachable. That would be an easy fix over here. Using CSS margin and scroll margin to unobscure the content, basically, to bring the content in view. So now coming to the AAA, I'll not go in deep because this is something which has, like, not much changes compared to 2411. In this particular criteria, this is just an extension of 2411. So it basically states about the focus component, or the focus should be visible in completely, even if it is visible partially, then also it will fail at AAA. So this basically said it needs to be completely visible. Coming to the next one is 2413 focus appearance. This is also at AAA, which could be difficult to meet, definitely, because the way the requirements are there over here, but definitely if I had to put it simply across this particular success criteria, the focus indicator should be at least 2 pixel thick, which you are using on a web page. And also the focus indicator that is there, it has to meet the contrast ratio requirement of 3:1 between the focused and unfocused state. Here, there are a couple of exceptions as well. So the focus indicator determined by user agent. This is something definitely, as I told earlier also, if it's a user agent defined, that is browser default focus indicator, wherein author has not made any changes. So it's not something which author has deliberately changed the appearance of the focus. So in such case, it becomes an exception. The next one is focus indicator or the indicator's background color is not modified by author. Again, this is something which is related to user agent. If any particular focus indicator that is coming, or the background, if it's changing due to any specific reason and it is not author modified, it's due to the user agent, that's the behavior, then again it goes into exception. To briefly say, WCAG 2.2 specifically helps keyboard and on-screen keyboard users, users who use SIPM, puff, or speech input devices, scanning softwares, or switch control users as well, who use basically the users who use switch controls. Definitely, this also benefits low vision users, who like someone who uses a screen magnifier. This will also benefit someone who is having an attention deficit, or like short-term memory and executive process limitations as well. Okay, so this was about the evolution of the visible focus, from where different focus styling, the default styling. So I'll open the floor for questions. I believe we have a couple of them already.
Hello, this is Malcolm. Got a couple questions in the Q&A. So first is, I'm currently in the process of assessing the accessibility of our internal platform with a specific focus on keyboard accessibility. I've encountered a question regarding the color contrast of the focus indicator. In particular, I'm curious if a color contrast of the focus ring is 1.7 to 1 would be considered a violation of success criterion 1.4.3, or is there another success criterion? We have to comply with WCAG 2.1 level AA.
Right. So a great question, because this is something which is more on the confusing side between 143 and 1411. When it comes to focus indicator or the focus ring color, if it's not meeting the requirement of 3:1, it will fail under 1411 and not 14, because 143 talks about the text contrast requirement and not the focus indicator requirement. So it will fail definitely in 1411 because your focus indicator ratio, color contrast ratio is not at least 3:1. It's 1.7:1 in your case.
Thank you. Move on to the next question. Does the default focus indicator change depending on the type of element in focus? Is the Chrome default just the black line? I thought it was both black and white.
Yeah, so again, I'll say when it comes to default focus indicator in Chrome, and since it's based on the WebKit color that has been defined by the user agent, so it will based on the backgrounds that are used on the web page. So if your background is basically a dark color, so you can set it to white color as well, the default focus. So in darker backgrounds, it will be white, and in lighter backgrounds, it will be black color. And that's the funda over there. Yeah.
Thank you. And in which browser will a div e.g. with tab index equals 0 or in parentheses -1 when focused programmatically not have the default outline when focused? This is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah. So when it comes to custom components, if you're hiding your particular default focus by setting it to outline none on 0, it won't be visible. But I would agree to one point is, as the browser is evolving, then it basically provides a default focus indicator if it's available. Otherwise, it won't. When it comes to even programmatically setting a tab index -1, you definitely will be using JS, wherein class will be involved. So you can set the focus and that outline would appear.
Thank you. Another question in the Q&A. If a menu remains open when it no longer receives focus and the user tabs to an interactive element obscured by the open menu, would this be a WCAG 2.2 failure?
Yeah, so if a menu remains open, yes, and if it's no longer is in focus and user has moved ahead from that particular component, and the interactive element is obscured due to this open menu, yes, it will be a fail. But if that particular menu can be closed with an escape key, there is a caveat over there. If it can be closed by an escape key without moving users' focus to that menu again to close it, in such case, yes, it won't be a fail, because there is a mechanism to basically close that menu by just using an escape key.
Thank you. And for focus styles that are in elevation instead of the outline, what is the best way to test for the WCAG compliance?
Focus style that are in elevation. Yeah. So when it comes to focus style that are just elevations, if I had to say, then that itself, kind of meet the requirement, because that is one way to show that currently this particular element is in focus, by elevating that element, by grabbing the user's attention over there. So in such case, it will pass that requirement, because there is an alternate way present to let user know on which particular element your current focus is on.
Thank you. And in your opinion, should pseudo selectors in parentheses appear on mouse hover and parentheses be the same as keyboard focus?
So I'll say that would be a good practice to do when, if a mouse is hovered on any particular element, or the element receiving keyboard focus, to have the same kind of an outline, or the whatever the styling has been given. So because that even makes developers' job easy to maintain same class for two different selectors. So that helps on that such cases as well.
Thank you. And I saw a lot of activity in the chat related to the next question. Per 2.4.13, in the example given earlier of a non-underlined link that gets an underline on focus, would that not count as an indicator if the color does not also change on focus? I generally recommend the use of underlined links. Just curious if I come across a case where a non-underlined would be preferred. I'm a little confused by what would be considered acceptable for WCAG 2.2.
Yeah, so when it comes to getting bringing or basically giving an underline to a particular link in specific, as soon as it receives focus, an underline appears. So even that is something which is a requirement that could be considered as pass as per WCAG. Because in such case, obviously, there is an underline that comes for those links as it receives focus. But in this case as well, the underline which is given, it should meet the contrast requirement against the adjacent colors then.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question. We have an attendee saying, I'm a bit confused. Do all of these focus indicator approaches meet WCAG 2.2 AAA?
Yeah, so the focus indicator approaches that I have discussed in this particular a session will more or less meet WCAG 2.2 AAA because I tried to keep it as conforming to the WCAG 2.2 standards as well, wherein I've used largely the focus pixels more than 2 px at least, and also the colors that I've used I've kept at least 3:1, if not more than that. So that is something you will have to keep into consideration.
Thank you. And looks like we've got one last question. Does the default focus indicator change depending on the type of element in focus? For example, is the focus indicator on a button different than on the link?
Yeah, so not necessarily, I will say, when it comes to the default focus indicator, it is based on the browser's WebKit that has been defined. So if it is any particular interactive element is there, it will most likely show the same kind of black color border, black color outline, I'll say, in case of Chrome and Edge. And as we have seen for Firefox, it will be a dark blue outline, and in case of Safari, it will be more likely a light blue outline, a light blue border in that case.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and take over screen sharing again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to just add over here one thing. So you all can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, X, or email me on my official email address, which is fahad@barrierbreak.com. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer it and connect with. Yeah.
Thank you. And I went ahead and posted those links in chat as well, so they're available for attendees. And
Thanks.
just want to thank you for such a detailed presentation. It was great to see so much activity in the chat, people joining from all around the globe and active discussions over questions that came up. So really a wonderful presentation and great start to the series. So thank you again, Fahad. And I also want to thank our support team, our ASL interpreter, Tammy, and captioner, Christine. Thank you for your lovely work as always. And for the upcoming webinars in this mini series, we have on October 31st, testing for web and mobile accessibility using a screen magnifier. And on November 2nd, using Chrome's accessibility tree for manual testing of HTML and ARIA. And for any of the attendees who are not yet members of IAAP, we welcome you to join our network of over 5,500 accessibility professionals in over 100 countries. And all IAAP members get discounts on live webinars, complimentary access to our library of archived webinars, access to our Connections networking platform, free courses, and more. And anyone interested can sign up at www.accessibilityassociation.org or email info@accessibilityassociation.org to see how you can become an IAAP member today. Once again, thank you to everyone for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Malcolm. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.